The following is a CUNY TV special presentation.
Welcome to our Tony Preview 2015. I'm Pat Collins with Harvey Fierstein, four-time Tony winner, just putting it in there.
Yeah, well, we need to move on to this year.
Yes, we do, and the year after. And we're at Sardi's, and of course, we're talking about all things Tonys. But first, I want to talk about the season itself. Yeah. 35, thank you very much, 35 new shows. Did you have track shoes on?
Yeah, it was an interesting year. I mean, every year has its own sort of flavor. This year we got a lot of Brits. We have a lot of British plays. We have The Curious Incident and Skylight and Wolf Hall, and what else do we have?
Well, we have Helen Mirren playing the Queen.
The audience.
Yes.
And this year we have some real comfort food musicals like King and I coming back. And
the 20th century.
And the 20th century. And then one that feels kind of like a revival, though it's a new one, American in Paris, and then some exciting new American musicals as well, like
Fun Home.
Here, Fun Home, and Something Rotten, and so it's a fun year.
So it's a couple of years past. Kinky Boots is up for Best Musical, and a lot of other nominations here. Were you confident you were going to win?
No,
because it was a competitive year.
It was. It sort of came down to us and Matilda, and then there was Hands on a Hard Body. They were all such different shows that you almost don't want to compare them. They have different goals of what to do to an audience, of the experience you want an audience to have. It's very hard to compare those things, but that's just the way award season is. I mean, it's I guess only the Golden Globes split comedies from dramas.
They do,
we
yes.
Certainly don't.
We want to take a look at some of the nominees, hear from them.
Let's look at the nominees.
Yes, the nominees. And you're going to see them coming up here. They're going to be speaking in their own words, except for the first person who doesn't speak at all. So, watch.
Hear my heart hammer, feel my pulse quicken he, and I once again.
What do the Tonys mean to you? Very nice.
What's the best thing about your show in one sentence?
If people are willing to understand each other, they can change each other.
Maps show you what is simple and true. Try laying out a bird's eye view. Not what he told you, just what you see. What do you know that's not your dad's mythology?
This is it for me. Like, the nomination is everything for me. It's it really is. I'm done, cooked. I'm fine. I mean, like, waste no time promoting me. I'm really, really. I mean, people are like, oh, it's an honor just to be nominated. No, it is. I'm done, cooked.
I guess I'm older, and it's harder when you're older to begin.
As I got involved with it, I think I've found it's a piece that has taken everything that I have learned over the years as an actor and an artist, and everything I've learned as a person, and it's found a place for me to use all of that and to have to learn more to be able to play this really complicated, troubled man and tell a story that I think is something really valuable and saying something personal to people today about families and about accepting ourselves and those closest to us.
Unbelievable. Just first experience in a Broadway show, and for me as an actor, and then I tried to hard rehearsal and preview, but I couldn't recognize about how can I do musical in Broadway. Just Tony, no. It's too bonus. Yeah, it's high price for me.
New York, New York, New York, New York. It's a hell of a town.
I never knew a musical like this existed on such a heightened level. Not only is it a dance show with some music, but it has the appeal of the Leonard Bernstein classical score with these big, beautiful classical ballads. And then it has these really funny antic scenes. And then all of a sudden, in the second act, we have this huge dream ballet. And I'm able to do all of these things in a show. I never knew that could happen. And so being the kind of performer I am, to be able to play this kind of role in the show on Broadway for all of, how many shows we've done, about 250 shows now. So that's a lot of people we've been able to entertain. And so for me, it's like everything, to be able to play this kind of a role right now.
New York, New York. It's a hell of a town.
Well, a case could be made for all the women who are up for Best Actress in a Musical.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a tight one to call.
Well, you have two newcomers, and like we were saying, to be a star, then they can go ahead and come to a new show and bring an audience.
And this can make their career.
And then you have Chita Rivera, who is at the end of her career, so she says, I think she's got plenty of years in her.
She's a legend.
But she
She's a
keeps saying,
legend.
I wanted one more. And so this is her one more. Then you have Kelly O'Hara, who has not yet won, who everybody sort of thought would win last year for Bridges of Madison County.
But didn't.
So that she's kind of owed, if you think. And then you got Kristin Chenoweth, who has been working her butt off, and she hasn't won since Charlie Brown, since she was a little baby coming into this. So you can make a case for all of them. I hope they all win.
Well, very
I hope
good.
it's a
That's so
five-way tie.
kumbaya.
I know it's very kumbaya, but we're of the theater.
Well, the good news is there is a lot of exciting new talent, but I'm curious about what the star casting effect has on emergent talent. They have the talent, but they don't have the fame. So do they get to have the roles, but they're terrific, but the bold-faced names come to town and they get all the attention.
Yeah, it's sort of true. I mean, I don't know how you sort of fight that. It happens whether it's television, theater, or movies, but it's very hard these days economically to do a play
without
unless
a
you
star.
have a reason. Yeah, I mean, musicals is one thing because people sort of, and tourists sort of lean towards musicals, but when it's a play, people kind of want to see a star. So if you have Denzel Washington, you're going to do really well. If you have a much better play than Denzel's in, with a stellar cast that nobody's ever heard of, you're going to have to work a lot harder to get the audience in there. It's just the way it is.
Do you have any advice for the nominees as they're awaiting the results? Is it a way to be calm, or it's okay to be nervous?
You can't control your emotions in something like that. You can be very philosophical that, 3 out of 4 of you are not going to win, so it's sort of okay. Only one can win. But that win of an award like a Tony or an Oscar, or those really name awards, what it does is it actually changes your name. You become Tony Award winner, blah, 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 or Academy Award winner, blah, blah, blah. So your life really does change in a really basic way.
And the opportunities, too, as well.
Sometimes, yeah, and sometimes not.
Well, we'll see as we move on to the actors and actresses who are now going to, how their lives may change or not. So here they are in their own words, and we start with, the Queen.
It's like the sprinkles on your ice cream, The ice cream is fabulous. The ice cream of being on Broadway is such an amazing experience, the totality of it. Sharing the experience with other actors, British and American, I might add, and just being a part of that community. That's the nub of it. And then we get the little sprinkles of the Tonys, which are fantastic.
There's 3 of us in the cast. It's a British play by David Hare. It's called Skylight. And it's set over one evening, one sort of 12-hour period. And it's about an old couple coming together and sort of seeing if they can rekindle what they used to have.
You did. I thought I left because your wife discovered I'd been sleeping with you for over 6 years.
I mean, well, yes, that as well. That played a part.
I went to this thing for Robert Redford the other night, this tribute to him at Lincoln Center, and he gave this incredible speech, and he just talked about how important the work is and how important the craft is and how important the journey is, not the eventual hopefully success, but talked about, and to hear a man like that who's so legendary and had so much success say, actually it's not about that, it's about the journey from his height was really sort of moving.
Marjorie, in dealing with the death of her husband and Jason's father, starts a Christian puppet ministry for teens. So my son Jason, who is meek, well-behaved, obedient, ends up creating Tyrone, his puppet, which may or may not be possessed by the devil. And Tyrone is a foul-mouthed, selfish, insulting, oversexed ingrate, is how I would describe Tyrone. But he's also pretty cheeky and kind of charismatic. I read this play and I connected immediately.
I play the role of Thomas Cromwell in Wolf Hall, Parts 1 and 2, which is a story about, it's set in Tudor England in the mid-16th century. It's a story about the court of Henry VIII and his marriages and his divorces. And
beheadings.
And beheadings. And I'm the fixer. I'm the guy, I'm the go-to guy who gets it all done for him on the quiet.
The consigliere.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly, that's quite right. Yeah. And it's the story, the play is the story of his rise from nowhere to the absolute top of the pile. It's just an incredible story of a man picking himself up from really the lowest point of the low. It's a gift of a part for an actor to play.
Jason is in a puppet ministry in a Lutheran church basement in Cypress, Texas. Puppet ministry is a thing that you do. It's basically where you tell Bible stories through puppets, and you do it, to the with the Sunday school class. At a certain point, Tyrone has decided that he's had enough with the Sunday school format. He becomes possessed by the devil and starts telling everyone what he actually thinks about them, starts attacking people. I mean, does everything that you would expect a demonic sock puppet to do.
Pretty incredible. Yeah, to walk in here this morning and see Patty and Alessandro and Scott, it's awesome. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. We all got on the phone yesterday, and then we all emailed each other because the whole company we're about to go to London next week. So the fact that this news came in right before, I think, gives us a little bit of a boost as we go back into the grind.
Which is more difficult to launch, a musical or a play for you, in terms of writing it?
You have to convince them. Plays cost 1/5 of a musical, let's say, but you have to convince people to put on a play. There has to be a real reason to put on a play.
Because?
Because they're much riskier. Even though they cost 1/5, they're much riskier. They don't run that long usually. And Martin Sherman, who wrote Bent, has written a new play for me, which I think I'm going to do this coming spring. Mm-hmm. And so now we have to figure out where to do it. And it's just different.
Well, it's a competitive field again here, so we want to now take a look at the nominated new plays and musicals. An American in Paris, The Dansicle with a Gershwin Score, and The Heartbreaking Fun Home each have 12 nominations.
We had a lot of fun sort of thinking, how can we make American in Paris a stage production for today? And how can we find young stars who are interested in portraying their own version of Jerry and Lee's and not sort of trying to copy the great names, Gene Kelly and Leslie Caron.
When I first read the script, at that point it was just kind of a breakdown, a treatment of what would happen in the show. I was seeing it because they were explaining it, how it was going to be danced, where the ballets were going to fit into the show. And although I'm not a dancer, I knew I wouldn't play a role in that respect. I was falling in love with it, and even on paper, I knew it was going to be something that had never been seen before. And I just think it's so hard to do that. You know, whether it was a success or not, it's so difficult to do something that looks like something on stage that's never been done before. I mean, this entire show, there are 3 ballets in it. The entire show, although it has a traditional structure and there are book scenes and songs, it's still, the entire thing dances.
I wanna play airplane. I wanna play airplane.
We did have a gorgeous piece of source material in this graphic novel and a real woman, Alison Bechtel, who's alive and very inspirational to keep coming back to. So what we made is very original, but we also had a lot of inspiration.
I think that the subject matter, while it's really specific, can reach so many different people. We had someone the other day who said, don't go see Fun Home unless you're a mother or a daughter or a father or a son. Because it's not just about being a woman who's choosing to be gay and choosing to be herself, but it's about her relationship with her father and how it's difficult to be yourself. And I think that we're entering this new world where people have the opportunity to be themselves in a more public light. I think a lot of people are choosing to go down that track and truthfully be themselves or not. And I hope that this show helps people choose the truth and the light.
All the World's a stage full of zany characters and something rotten. The musical comedy with 10 nominations.
This Renaissance means rebirth.
It's two brothers, the Bottom brothers, played by John Cariani as the brother who loves poetry and being true to yourself and writing art, and then Brian Darcy James, who plays Nick, who is like, I just got to get a hit. I got to get something that people will love and will love me and respect me as a writer. And then on top of all of that, their struggles, they have to deal with Shakespeare, who's getting everything and all the accolades, and he's considered pretentious by one of the brothers, and it's just what happens between those relationships.
I am playing Shakespeare, who's a bit of a jerk, it turns out. And I'm finding it easy to tap into, and I'm trying not to read into that too much. What's refreshing for me as an actor who does very little research is that our Shakespeare is more of a rock star than a writer. And so I rewatched Purple Rain and a lot of Britney Spears videos. And that was basically it. The whole thing is an honor. It's incredible to, like on a day like today, to look around at the people in this community that I've known happily for decades now, and to celebrate with everyone. And it just feels like we're all together in this. It's not a competition, it's a celebration.
The Visit with the legendary Chita Rivera earned 5 nominations.
It's a story about a woman who's come back to her hometown that has done something very terrible to her.
It's Chita Rivera,
Chita
and she's
Rivera.
a billionaire.
And she's the richest woman in the world, maybe the richest person. But I don't think it's a revenge show. I think it's a great love story. She wants justice. She wants the love of her life back. And she punishes the town that ruined her life. And it's a very powerful story about love, redemption, sex. It's a very sexy show. And I think we're the first show to ever have mature people singing about strong emotional and physical passion. And it's like Romeo and Juliet as octogenarians singing. How often do you see that?
The 4 productions vying for the Best Original Play trophy include The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime with 6 nominations, and Hand to God was blessed with 5 nominations.
I played Jessica in Hand to God. She is a smart and curious and grounded and confident young lady, and she really finds a way to communicate with Jason and really get him to open up in a very creative way that no one else seems to be able to figure out. So she's definitely an inspiration to me. I've learned a lot playing her. She's made me a better person playing her, better listener, more confident, more grounded. She's rad. Jessica's rad.
You are so far back in the closet, you're in Narnia.
Wolf Hall, Parts 1 and 2, competes in 8 categories.
It's the part of a lifetime. This is where we want to be. This play belongs on Broadway. It's all about a small man, Thomas Cromwell, making it to the highest echelons of power in Europe and guiding Henry from his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, through Anne Boleyn to Jane Seymour. And he does it brilliantly. He's a surprising Henry. There isn't the sort of thigh-slapping, wench-grabbing Henry that you expect. He's got a lot of vulnerability. He's quite funny in places. He's incredibly dangerous, I hope, in other places, and romantic. So there's things there that you just wouldn't expect. And one of the fears, I think, of people thinking, oh, shall I buy it? I can't, 5 hours of theatre like this. It's not Shakespeare. There are no rhyming couplets. The language is as you and I speak today, with the odd F word thrown in.
I don't think she is at all Machiavellian. I mean, I know she's extremely forthright and ferocious and brave, but I think when she's irrational and angry. It comes out of a place of fear, and I think lots of people, I sometimes respond not like Anne Boleyn, but under pressure, if you're frightened, you can be aggressive as defensive. So things like that, which Hilary's written, that Hilary Mantel's books, all the characterization is there. These brilliant complicated human choices were all there for me, really. So I didn't have to do make an awful lot of decisions about her. I mean, in many ways, it was one of the easiest roles to play because of these fantastic novels.
The Pulitzer Prize-winning Disgraced.
Patronizing me this whole conversation. I think you can bear with being patronized just a bit.
What drove me to write Disgraced, it's difficult to articulate. It was a feeling or an obsession or a growing preoccupation with this character who seemed to embody so many of the experiences that many people I know and that myself have experienced or gone through since 9/11.
Tell us about that character.
Amir Kapoor, who is a Muslim American corporate attorney who is denying or hiding his Muslim origins from most of the people in at least his professional life. And because of a series of events in his life, he gradually becomes unraveled and all of this comes out. And it's a kind of a tragic depiction of where Muslim identity is caught at times within this very, very truculent political atmosphere. What I want the audience to take away from Disgraced it's not a sentence or a meaning. What I want them to have experienced is a space where opposing points of view coexist, even through conflict and friction. And that experience of holding two opposing thoughts at the same time, you walk back out into the world, maybe you have a bit bigger picture emotionally of what's going on in the world.
You went to a lot of theater, going way back, starting as a kid.
Yeah.
What musical from the past would you like to see revived now?
Well, next season they're bringing back Fiddler on the Roof, and that's one of my favorites. I still think that's the best book of a musical ever. I know
and you starred in it.
Yes, and a lot of people think it's Gypsy, but also Gypsy may come back because Imelda Staunton in London, the English star,
right.
She has a big hit in London with Gypsy, so that may come back next year as well. There are a lot of really wonderful musicals that don't get done a lot. They just tried to do Zorba, but I'm not sure that took, but we'll see. I mean, I love revivals.
Well, what an easy way to go right into our next segment.
Yeah.
Let's look at the revivals of plays and musicals.
Yeah, look.
The Lincoln Center production of The King and I leads the list of best musical revivals with 9 nominations.
I love that this woman is so grounded. She knows exactly who she is. She knows exactly how to run the palace. She knows her husband inside and out. And yet what's interesting is she's not allowed to speak up like we do in the world today, like we do in Western culture. I find it a joyful challenge to see how she gets things done around the palace. I went in there, with the idea of what Lady Tiang would be, and Bart was like, stop, stop, stop. And then he gave me a little tutorial of who Lady Tiang is. She's Hillary Clinton. She is Imelda Marcos. And I thought, oh, this is the kind of production you're doing. You're going to do a real-life version of how things actually run instead of I am an Asian lady. It wasn't like that at all.
Not subservient.
No, not subservient at all. She will not bow on the ground for Anna. She is a woman, and she's going to tell her just like it is. She's going to show her that she is smarter than anyone in the palace has given her credit for. And I loved that. And the more I got into this audition process, I thought, I know who this woman is.
On the 20th Century collected 5 nominations. On the Town has 4.
We knew we loved it, and we knew it had a lot of heart, but it's been a long time since this musical has been back and successful like this. So we were just hoping that we were going to figure it out, and that everybody would see what we saw in it, and the heart of the story about these 3 sailors, finding love in New York City, having 24 hours, and then going back off to war.
You look down always on the way we did things, on the way things are done. You could never accept the nature of business. I mean, finally, that's why you had to leave.
Skylight, with 7 nominations, shares the best revival of a play category with This Is Our Youth.
You must stay to dinner. No.
The screwball comedy You Can't Take It With You, and The Elephant Man, starring Bradley Cooper and Patricia Clarkson.
I love doing this play so much. Bradley, Alessandro, and I, and all of our cast, we become very, very close. And it's one of the reasons we're thrilled about going to London, because we're going to continue. And I'm very happy. I'm very, very, very happy to be here.
I play Dr. Frederick Treves, who is a real person who discovered the Elephant Man, who's played by Bradley Cooper, in a circus freak show and brought him into the London hospital where he lived for the last few years of his life. The play is really about crisis of faith that the doctor goes through after meeting him, where his encounter with the Elephant Man makes him question his whole worldview and his bourgeois morality and drives him to a nervous breakdown. It's just the highest honor in the theater.
Well, we just saw a little bit of Bradley Cooper in The Elephant Man. And, of course, so many bold-faced names from television and Hollywood.
And rock and roll.
And yes.
And rock and
Tell
roll.
us more about that. Of course, you work with Cindy.
Yeah, well,
yes,
Cindy writing
she's a
a
good
Broadway
example.
musical. Duncan Sheik, who wrote Spring Awakening. Sarah Bareilles, I think, is coming next year with Waitress.
And Sting was here this year with The Last Ship.
With The Last Ship this year. A lot of rock people have seen, years ago, people like The Who and all that, they did these concept albums, and then they see that these concept albums can become entire shows, and there's a new dimension and a new life, because people don't buy albums anymore. Children download everything, and they download one track, they don't download. It's very hard to do a concept album, but you can do a whole statement in a show. So, I mean, even Andrew Lloyd Webber's coming back with School of Rock, and Gloria Estefan musical is coming, so these people really want. I mean, I have people calling me all the time saying, "Would you like to write a show together?"
What do you love about your world? What do you love about what you do?
I love it all. I love it. I love the silliness of the live audience and the fans and the way they are. I love the smallness, that it's not so crazy, like, when I go out with like very famous friends and they can't move without but Broadway you can. I mean, they all think they know you. They all talk to you, by your first name as if they know you. But there's a smallness about it. There's an intimacy about it because you have spent time with them. It's not the intimacy. Television is a different intimacy because after all, they watched you while they were wearing their underwear. Laying in bed wearing their underwear. They've seen Johnny Carson, so they think they know him in that way. But they've watched you in theater. They've watched you go through something horrible in your life or something wonderful in theater, and so they
it's a community,
and it's a community, and so I love it, and it's a small community. There's not that many of us that do Broadway in the long run. It's a rather small group, and I've been part of it for 100 years, 30-something years, and it's wonderful.
Well, we all know where Harvey will be on Tony night.
I'll be on my couch watching TV with several things and a spoon.
And wherever you're going to be, we hope you enjoy the Tony show.
We hope they all win, right?
And we hope they all win.
5-way ties for everyone.
Well, we'll be looking forward to having your post-Tony assessment. and thank you again, Sir Harvey, for being with us.
Oh, I got to be a sir.
Yes, Sir Harvey, thank you very much. And thank you for being with us. And we're here at Sardi's, and we thank them as well.
And we're going to go see a show.
What do you say?
Let's go see a show.
Okay, want to see a show?